Why is it that some people are successful in learning a foreign language while other people struggle and never manage to do so? That's what I'm going to be talking about in this week's video. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Patricia Brooks. I am an American living in the south of France and have been since 2018. And yes, I speak French. And now I help people who are ready to start the next chapters of their lives living and thriving in a foreign country, dig down deep and find the confidence, the courage, the wherewithal to finally take that leap and move abroad and thrive there. And today I'm talking all about what it takes to learn a foreign language. Now, the reason this video came about was I was listening to a podcast. It was a podcast about writing. And the person who was being interviewed talked about the difference between people who are successful in whatever they do and people who fail at what they do, who are unsuccessful at what they do. And it comes down to mindset. Like a lot of my videos are about mindset. But he said that, people who are successful, they attempt something. And inevitably they fail because they've never done this thing before. But they try again and they probably will fail again. But that second attempt is better than that first attempt. And then they try again, fail again, try again, fail again, but better each time until, they get good at what they're doing, right? And then they start to turn what they've learned into something that is successful. Now, on the other hand, somebody who is not a success typically will say, I want to do this thing. I want to learn how to paint, say. And they pick up a paintbrush and, maybe they take one lesson and they try to paint something and it looks nothing like what they're trying to paint. And they say, I'm just not good at that. And then they stop doing what they want to do. I'm just not good at that. And so they fail. Yes, they fail. They see failure as them not being good. Where failure is the first step in getting good. Okay? So it's the same with language learning. You have to be willing to make mistakes. You have to be willing to continue to attempt at getting better at the language. And if you are unwilling to make mistakes, if you are unwilling to feel uncomfortable or maybe even stupid in learning a language, you will get to that place where I am just not good at this. And that's going to be the reason that you don't acquire a new language. You stop trying because the first time you failed or the second time you failed, you told yourself you weren't good enough. And it's not easy to make mistakes, especially as an adult when we have this idea that we have to be perfect. But if it's something that we have never done before, then why would we be good at it? Okay, so that's the first one. The second reason people are successful at learning a language is because they have gotten rid of limiting beliefs. Now, a limiting belief is something that we have told ourselves over and over again, or somebody else has told us over and over again, and we start to believe it. And because of that thing that we have heard again and again, we start to believe it. We don't do things that will allow us to be successful with that thing. So when I was in high school, I remember my mom telling me, your brother, he is so gifted with languages. And I think he was in college at that point, and he was majoring in comparative literature between German and French. And when my mom told me that, he's so gifted with languages, I heard, your brother, he's really gifted, but you, Patricia, no, you're not. And that's not what she said. I read into it. But because of that, when I took French in high school, when I took French in college, I didn't apply myself. I believed that my brother got all of the language genes. And so I didn't learn French in high school. I didn't learn French in college. But that was okay because I wasn't motivated to either. Now, successful people have found a way to change those limiting beliefs into empowering ones. People who struggle learning a language believe that, oh, I'm just not good at that because, well, they tried once or twice and failed or felt stupid and said, oh, I'm just not good at that and gave up. Or they maybe believe that, oh, older people, they just can't learn a language. Their brains aren't as elastic as a child's brain, so they shouldn't even try, right? I started learning French, relearning French at the age of 48. And by the age of 52, I was calling myself fluent. So it's possible to learn a language later in life. And by the time I started learning French for the second time, my brother wasn't even like a part of the equation, right? I had something else going for me. And this is something else that helps people be successful. And that is they are motivated. They have a desire to do the thing that they're going for, a real deep desire. Now in high school and college, I just needed French so that I could get my high school diploma, so I could get my college degree. But there was no passion behind it. I didn't see the usefulness of the French language, so I really didn't care if I learned it or not. But in 2014, a month before I went to Quebec City, Canada, I thought, oh, it would be really nice to speak French to the Québécois. And so that's when I bought a program called the Pimsleur Method. That changed my life in terms of learning French. The Pimsleur Method, I listened to the Pimsleur Method every day for 30 minutes, and I responded to the prompts in French. And little by little, I started speaking French. By the time I went to Quebec City, I wasn't fluent. I knew a few words and phrases, and my accent was fairly good. Well, according to the Québécois. And they thought that I spoke French. And so they wanted to have a conversation with me, which I couldn't have at that point. But that's normal because I was just getting started. But that motivated me too. I was motivated to learn French because I was encouraged, but I was also motivated to learn French because by the time I was older, I recognized how beautiful French is. And I wanted to sound just like the French sound. Now, I speak French, I'm fluent, but I don't sound as elegant as they do. Anyway, that was a strong motivation. Oh, and then come, 2017 when I really put a line in the sand and said, oh, I am moving to France. It was on. It was like, oh, I really need to step up this French learning. And I was motivated. And so between 2014 and 2018, the time I moved to France, I listened to the Pimsleur Method every single day. And I ran out of lessons, so I had to go back to the beginning and I listened to the lessons again. And it was great because I heard things I hadn't heard the first time. I improved my accent. And it was just something that I thoroughly enjoyed. I was motivated. But without that, you're not going to be consistent. You're not going to commit to it. And learning a language, like learning anything else, takes practice, takes consistent practice. All right? Now, I spoke about mindset earlier, and I think people can have blocks that are deeper than the limiting beliefs that, oh, older people can't learn a language, or that their brother is better at a language than they are. Something that is more deeply rooted, maybe it's based in something that happened to them when they were trying to learn a language. And so now they really have internalized that and they struggle to learn a language. And so, people who are able to speak a language and who may have had a really deep block, they have gotten the help they need so that they can get unblocked, so that they can do the work that's required, so that they aren't afraid to make the mistakes that they will make, and keep on going so that they can build the skills to learn a new language. Now, I have a friend who has been living in France for about as long as I have been, and I ran into her a couple months ago. I was with my friend Baini, who speaks French. He doesn't speak English, and my friend speaks English and some French. And I noticed that when we were having a conversation together, how anxious it seemed she was in trying to speak French. And that made me feel like that there was, because it seemed like she has put in a lot of work, right? It wasn't for her lack of effort, but it seemed like there was something that was deep-seated that needed to get uprooted so that then she could get on with the business of learning French, right? Point blank. And so I think successful people recognize when their efforts aren't yielding fruit and when they may need to get help. Be that a language coach, be that a therapist, be that somebody who's going to help them to go the distance in spite of the challenge they face. Now, people ask me all the time, how long did it take for me to become fluent in French? And that's a hard question to answer, because I started learning French in August of 2014, just before my trip to Canada. And I didn't claim fluency until November of 2019. Was I fluent beforehand? Maybe. In November of 2019, the reason that I claimed fluency was I had a phone conversation, 15-minute phone conversation, maybe it was 20 minutes, with a car insurance agent. It was on the phone, it was all in French, and I understood him, he understood me. Certainly there were insurance expressions that I didn't know that he broke down in a way that I understood, right? And to me, when I got off that call, I was like, Patricia, you're fluent, all right? So, but could I have claimed that sooner? Maybe. Could I have gotten to fluency sooner? Yes, if I had spent more time learning the language. And there's this fallacy also of, well, when you move to a foreign country that speaks the language that you're learning, that, you're going to automatically absorb everything and that's just going to speed your progress. No, it's not. Especially if you surround yourself with people who speak your native language. That's going to kill your progress. So it's a matter of the number of hours that you put in. Now, there is a guy, I don't even know his name. He has a video of how he got fluent in French in 30 days. And what he did was intense. I don't recommend it, but it seemed to be a real video. But he put in the effort in all of the areas of learning a language. It wasn't just speaking it or understanding it. It was speaking it. It was understanding it. It was writing it. It was reading it. And he has this method. I'll put a link to it in the description. But it was a lot of hours he put in. There are people who work for governments who need to learn a language quick. And there are language schools that teach learning a language really fast, but they are intensive. And unless you are in a program like that, I think that you need to give yourself some grace and a lot of time, because your brain needs time to absorb what you're learning, to create new neural connections or pathways. I don't know all the terminology, but I'm proof that it can be done with consistency and with time, and even later in life. All right. So which one of these do you feel like you have on your side? Let me know in the comments. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to share it with a friend. Hit that like button. subscribe, and I will see you again next time. Bye for now.